Hello, fellow intelligent investors. My name is René Zellman, and today I want to discuss how you can find investment ideas. To me, it seems like one of the most commonly asked questions in the world of investing is how you can generate investment ideas. And I often hear people moaning, I don't know which stocks to buy. Well, while there are a couple of traditional and quantitative approaches, such as using stock screeners, there are other approaches too, qualitative approaches, that are often overlooked. And in this video, I want to share one of these qualitative ways of generating stock ideas with you. And I think it's an approach that you have probably never heard of. So without further ado, let's get started.
Have you ever wondered how you can make your hard-earned money work for you? Have you ever dreamed of building generational wealth and leaving a legacy? My name is René Zellman, and I'll teach you how you can manage and invest your money with confidence, a long-term vision, and without losing your mind. Join me on my journey of intelligent investing and learn how smart people can compound their money effectively and accumulate wealth.
Alright, so from my experience, novice investors, so new investors, usually begin their investment career with some kind of wild buying and selling. They jump in and out of positions and occasionally enjoy a quick win. And they mostly follow all the hot new trends in the world of investing and invest in companies that maybe Jim Cramer recommended on CNBC, or maybe some random influencer mentioned on social media. However, I don't think that's a recipe for a successful investment career and sustainable returns. So obviously every beginner investor will have to eventually figure out ways to generate his own ideas and maybe more importantly to evaluate these ideas independently. Every investor needs to build his or her own conviction and then needs to have the courage to buy a stock when it's down and available at attractive prices. And one also needs to develop the ability to hold the stock through thick and thin if the underlying business is still intact. And as I've mentioned, there are quantitative approaches to generate investment ideas, such as stock screeners, maybe 52-week low lists, or generally speaking, new low lists. And I've also talked about the magic formula in one of my previous videos. And personally, I do use these quantitative approaches from time to time. However, it's important to acknowledge that the very best investment ideas, they usually don't screen well. The compounding machines that you can just hold forever. And that's why I think every investor needs to have some qualitative tools to generate investment ideas in his or her toolkit as well. And my favorite tool of all is certainly to simply have an open mind, to network, to talk to other investors, or maybe even to talk to non-investing people and friends who just happen to work in specific industries. And maybe most of all, to just actively observe your environment, actively observe the things around you during your everyday life. Because sometimes new investment ideas can simply be found by watching TV, seeing ads on Twitter, reading the newspaper, or observing your partner's shopping behavior. Or maybe you just check the company that is manufacturing the elevator you're using when you are visiting a rooftop bar. So overall, I think it's fair to say that you just have to walk through life with eyes wide open and to be mentally prepared to receive tips from friends, family, colleagues, and the media. Which companies are you familiar with? Which products or services do you use? Which products or services do your friends use? What products are doing well in general? Or do you notice that a particular store has many customers? Which stores does your boyfriend or girlfriend visit frequently? And which products is he or she obsessed about? You can also look at other companies that are operating in the same industry. Who's the industry leader here? And you can not only find ideas in malls, but also when taking the bus. Again, who manufactured that vehicle? On planes, how many passengers are on your flight and how are the flight attendants treating you? Or maybe during a poker night with your friend and when you're asking him, well, which whiskey did he buy for this special event? And in a way, I think this boots on the ground research can be incredibly valuable. And as I observe my surrounding with my investment eyes, usually wide open, I recently came across an article by The Visual Capitalist. And the authors were discussing a recently published list that showed the top 100 searches on Amazon for the United States, but also globally. Did you know that 66% of Americans shopping online start their search on Amazon? Thus, Amazon's top keyword searches, I think, provide an interesting snapshot into consumer behavior of, well, the citizens of a specific country. And that's why I think this data set is an interesting source to find companies that are offering products that are trending and apparently popular. And you can use this list also to find companies that are trading on public stock exchanges. So let's take a look at the list and check whether we can generate investment ideas by looking at it. If we look at the top 100 searches in the United States, then the keyword Nintendo Switch is ranked number 1. And right off the bat, we have our first investment idea. Because guess what? Nintendo is a publicly listed company. The company is not listed in the US, but is trading on the Tokyo and Osaka stock exchanges. But US investors can actually buy Nintendo shares through an ADR, so that's American Depository Receipt. And essentially, ADRs are created by banks or brokerages and are sold to investors who want to invest in foreign companies but want to avoid some of the costs, maybe the bureaucracy and taxes associated with directly investing in foreign companies. But that shouldn't be the topic of this video. So clearly, the Nintendo Switch is an incredibly popular gaming console right now. And in fact, the business of Nintendo is going through a business transformation right now, as they are trying to extend the life cycle of their gaming console to establish a platform that could last essentially forever. And they are trying to eliminate the cyclical nature of the gaming console industry. And in a way, they are also transitioning to a digital distribution model, switching to a recurring revenue model, and they are trying to monetize their IP more effectively. Just recently, for instance, I came across the following video on Twitter that apparently went viral on TikTok, which shows that Nintendo opened a new theme park in Osaka. It's called Nintendo World, and I assume many people would love to go there at some point in life. But I will leave the research up to you here. I can certainly recommend the interview with Ryan O'Connor and Todd Wenning that Tillman from Good Investing Talk did for his YouTube channel. And the following charts by Twitter user Taylor Henderson, also a good starting point in my opinion. And just on a side note, Nintendo Switch is also the most searched term globally. So it really looks like the Nintendo Switch is just as popular elsewhere as in the United States. And maybe just on a final note here, you can also find the term Pokemon in the top 100 Amazon searches list. And many of you probably did not know that Nintendo actually has a significant stake in the so-called Pokemon company. I think their stake is around 33%. Alright, fellow investors, before we move on, if you like my content, please be sure to hit the like button. And if you're new here, subscribing to my channel would also be much appreciated. Obviously, any interaction with the video would help me correct the algorithm of YouTube and reach more people. Thank you. All right, rank number 3 on the list is the search term AirPods. And in spot number 6, we encounter iPad. And obviously, these two terms are related to the technology company Apple. And surprise, surprise, Apple is also a publicly traded company. And it has been an incredibly successful investment over the course of the last 2 decades. $10,000 invested back in 2000 would be worth over $6 million today. In spot number 8, 11, and 26, you find the Fire Stick, the Kindle, and the virtual assistant technology Alexa, which are obviously products of Amazon. And that's obviously another highly successful and publicly traded company. And in fact, the Ring Video Doorbell, ranked in spot number 30, is the flagship product of a maybe lesser known company, which is called Ring LLC. And this company is also owned by Amazon. In rank number 9, you find SSD. So here consumers were not looking for a specific brand or a specific product, but rather a broad product category. SSD stands for solid state drive. And a solid state drive is basically a newer alternative to hard disk drives, HDDs, which have been around since the 1950s. So SSDs are storage devices that are used in computers, but also can function as external storage. Now again, you want to think like an investor, right? So you need to figure out which companies make SSDs. So if we just Google Which company makes SSD? You can go to Wikipedia and find a site that basically provides a list of all SSD manufacturers. Or you can visit a website titled Solid State Drives Market SSD Analysis 2019. Key players, sales, revenue, demands and forecasts to 2025. And then you simply start your research. Which of these companies are publicly traded? And I know for a fact that Micron Technology, ticker MU, Seagate, ticker SDX, and lastly maybe Toshiba, they offer storage solutions. And of course, as an investor, you might want to have a look at them. So if you find this space and industry interesting, you might go ahead and do a snap judgment to figure out if these businesses might be worth examining further. However, be aware that investing in the data storage market can be tricky because A, the semiconductor industry is incredibly cyclical, and B, their business models are, or maybe I should say the technology used within the products can be very hard to understand if you're not coming from a technical background. But I'm not going to discuss individual companies here, and generally, I think I've mentioned that before, I'm rather reluctant to do that on this channel. But you get the idea here. By considering the products people are searching for on Amazon, you can generate tons of investment ideas. Here are a few other publicly traded companies that I could think of based on the Amazon top 100 search list. Roku is in spot number 15, and the TV streaming platform just IPO'd in 2017 and has been quite a successful investment. Xbox is a video gaming brand that was created and is owned by Microsoft. And similarly, PS4, number 25, is owned by another Japanese company, Sony. Marvel's The Avengers IP is on the list as well, and the legendary comic book brand Marvel Entertainment was actually acquired for $4 billion by Disney in 2009. Then we also find the term Chromebook, which is of course a Google product. And Fitbit, number 15 on the global list, is a company that produces smartwatches and activity trackers, and that firm is also owned by Google. So I guess the bottom line here is that I think curiosity is a very useful trait for investors, and also when it comes to searching for investment ideas. Personally, I love to relate real-life experiences to investment ideas, because this allows me to find companies that are publicly traded and stocks that might be interesting. Let me just quote one of my investment idols here, Chuck Akre, because he said, "In my career, I've literally run across thousands of people who were very, very bright, but not necessarily good investors. Pure knowledge, in and of itself, is not a ticket to being a good investor. Imagination and curiosity are what's hugely important. We've discovered things over the years purely by being curious and continuing to keep involved in the search process to find these exceptional businesses." Keep your eyes open, and you might regularly want to check the list of the most frequently searched terms on Amazon. And as a result, you will learn a lot about all sorts of business models, maybe about their suppliers, about the most recent developments in tech, and so on and so forth. And with that being said, may your finances and investments prosper. Good luck.